So I guess the reports and over-exaggeration last night and into the wee early morning hours of today of WWE being sold to Saudi Arabia's PFI group, I guess you could say were overly exaggerated. Now, I don't know who started these rumors, but a lot of primary sources, like Sean Ross Sapp, Ariel Helwani, a guy that's interviewed Tony Khan and Triple H, by the way, who has ties to WWE, has ties to Bleacher Report and all that when it comes to these interviews, have all said what you've been hearing is false. There's no evidence to it. And I think we all should have known that the moment Cassidy Haynes of Bodyslam.net had to retract his original statement, because he's the one that originally came out and said, yeah, this is happening. And then he had to retract it by saying, actually, no, it's not. There's still a lot of loopholes and stuff they have to go through, a lot of avenues they have to go through to, make it happen. And then it's only in principle the deal has been made. Well, again, that was in the wee hours of this, the very wee hours of this morning, like a little after midnight. And then all of a sudden this morning, we wake up and find out, oh, there's no truth to it whatsoever. Now, someone at the Cage Side Facebook page, who was also reporting on this, said, "Hey, look, if you're going to blame anybody for this going on, blame Slice of Wrestling for initially putting out the report." Now, I don't know who Slice of Wrestling is, but whoever they are either got the information wrong, or they're a wrestling group that just consists of a bunch of trolls that do these kind of things once in a while to see people's reactions on how, oh, you take it way too seriously, you should just leave it be. People like JD and Just Alex and stuff. So I don't know who Slice of Wrestling is, but whether or not they are a legit wrestling reporting group, or they're just a parody one, like you go on YouTube and you see this, and you see channels like Wrestling Hub or Wrestling News Now, and how they always say with the thumbnails, this happened, Roman Reigns injured, Roman Reigns to AEW, da da da. And then another picture says, it's retired, let's say Kevin Owens, da 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 da. You see those kind of things, right? Slice of Wrestling, like I said, they could either be a legit wrestling source, a wrestling news source that's got the information wrong, or they are, like I said, what Wrestling News Now and others are here on YouTube, who, they're kind of like maybe kayfabe news here on on Facebook and Twitter. They're just they might just be a group that likes to troll people. They just like to troll people, parody people, rickroll them, if you will, whatever the case may be. So either, like I said, one of those two things happened. They either got the information wrong, or they tried to rickroll people into a panic. And that's all I'm going to say. But the other big news that did break yesterday that made people believe this was a possibility was Stephanie McMahon's resignation from the company. Now, let's not forget, because other people did try to point this out in all the panic, Stephanie McMahon originally wanted to step down last year, before this whole thing with her father hit the fan. She was only brought back voluntarily because they needed, her to help represent the company. They needed a McMahon basically to help represent the company in some capacity, since, Shane was no longer there, so Stephanie was basically the next in line. And as a result, for the past 8 to 9 months, she was the co-CEO and chairwoman of the company. Now, with that said, something did come out yesterday as well that really, I think, has been overshadowed because of all this news. It's been talked about, but it's been overshadowed. And I think honestly, in my opinion, is the real legit reason why Stephanie McMahon resigned. Not just because she wanted to, just basically continue where she had originally left off, with trying to take time off, be with her family, be a mom and all that. last year, if you will. Not only was she basically, I guess you could say, continuing off from that, but I think the other real reason she resigned is because of the lawsuit report that came out yesterday, the new one, heading towards Vince McMahon. Basically, according to Dave Shire of PWInsider.com, and I got to credit Aaron Rift of NoDQ.com for reporting this as well. Apparently, Dave got a copy of a letter between lawyers that were part of the WWE derivative suit back in, June, July of last year. That was filed by Scott and Scott, the law firm Scott and Scott, and it was about the NDA allegations that had surfaced against Vince McMahon. Well, basically, the email pointed out, long story short, the email had pointed out that Vince McMahon had essentially breached some kind of agreement, some kind of trustee agreement, a fiduciary agreement, which when I looked it up, is about trustee and all that, trustee of money and something like that. Anyway, they had said that he had broken this agreement by forcing his way back onto the board. And according to the email, they look at that as being enough of a bias to consider it as a breach, and that they consider it as a breach of that fiduciary agreement, and that's enough for a lawsuit. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can. I have it right here on the ready. I have it right here on the ready. But yeah, this is the email right here. This is the one I'm talking about right here. It says basically, the bottom part is what you want to look at. It says right here, this is the email. This is by, like I said, if I can pull it up here. Yeah, right there, Dave Shire of PWInsider.com. And this is, again, if you guys want to know, it's by NoDQ. Right there, NoDQ. And Aaron Rift. Aaron Rift is the one. Yesterday they reported this. I'll put it up. But this is the email right here. And like I said, the bottom part is what you want to pay attention to. The bottom part basically says, you may have also seen the news this past week about Vince McMahon forcing his way back onto the board along with a major board shakeup. As a result, we believe there is enough of a bias to bring a breach of fiduciary lawsuit. We hope to file a complaint against McMahon and possible other directors and officers for breaching their duties to WWE and its shareholders. We should have a draft for you to review in the next couple of days. It will also require a signature of a one-page verification, which we will also send. And then, of course, it asks for a number to contact them at. If they can't contact them by email or anything, that they at least could have the phone number as well, and also to let them know if they have any questions in the meantime. But yeah, I think honestly, when it comes to Stephanie's resignation as the co-CEO and the chairwoman, and kind of starting where she left off initially with her stepping away last year to essentially be a mom, be a wife, if you will, to Triple H and all that. I think her full resignation here, where basically she is, for the time being, done with WWE indefinitely, and as she puts it in her resignation letter, be somewhat of a fan, looking from the outside onto the inside, if you will, and seeing how things are done. Basically put herself in our place. Her full resignation, I think, in my opinion, has a lot to do with that as well, because she, as a co-CEO, as a co-CEO and the chairwoman, she herself is an officer. That's right, CEO. The O at the end means officer. So her being a co-CEO and a chairwoman. I think probably finding out about that happening, because you can't tell me that she and Nick Khan and Triple H are not in the know or anything about some of the reports that are out there. You know, she, or finding out what gets sent, maybe in between lawyers and everything in the board. She probably found out about this initially, and that's what prompted her to say, you know what, I'm out of here. I do not want anything to do with this company right now. If I'm going to be involved in the investigation, because again, her being an officer and a director, that allowed Vince to basically bully his way, force his way back onto the company, that could put her in a lot of trouble. So for her to say, I'm out, I'm gone, I'm done for the time being, people would say it's a smart move. And I think again, outside of the false rumor of WWE's, Vince McMahon, I should say, selling WWE initially to Saudi Arabia's PFI group, which was false, thank God, in the eyes of a lot of folks, and people saying, oh, that's the reason Stephanie resigned. No, she resigned because originally she wanted to step away last year. That's one thing. But in my speculating belief, I think this new breach of fiduciary lawsuit, because of Vince forcing his way back onto the board the way he did, honestly, I think she realized, hey, I'm going to get implemented in this. If I stay here, I'm out. And she decided to basically, basically pack up her bags and tell her dad, hey, you want your company back? You got it. Enjoy your day in court. Bye. And out she went. So basically, Vince thought, hey, I'm going to threaten the board by saying you're not going to have any TV media rights to work with, or you're not going to have any possible sale of the company to work with unless I'm there. If he thought his forcing his way back onto the board was not going to have consequences or repercussions, he was wrong. He was dead wrong. Because here we are. And to me, this, outside of the false news, as of right now, as a lot of people still want to point out, of WWE being sold to Saudi Arabia's PFI group, this, outside of that, and mostly outside of Stephanie, resigning, because I think this does tie into it somehow in my theory, my speculated theory belief. This here is the biggest news. This here is the one that trumps them all. And this here is the reason why I believe Stephanie McMahon stepped away. This is why I believe two board members, one of them that initiated the investigation originally, stepped away after Vince and his 3 new elected officers came on board. And this is why I also think other board members apparently also resigned, if there's truth to that as well. Because they do not want to be involved in a situation that's going to bring them down along with Vince McMahon, because Vince McMahon could not accept the fact that, hey, I got to stay away. I'm done. I'm going to let my company be run by those I know that can run it good. He could not help himself. And now because of that, he's bringing everybody down with him, possibly with this breach of fiduciary lawsuit. So that's why, to me, you're seeing some people resign and step away. Could they get the positions back? Absolutely. But I think if they get the positions back, they're going to wait till this thing blows over, and hopefully Vince McMahon gets enough heat on him, he realizes, hey, I got to go away. This is getting too much now. Because this is a breach, basically, of a trustee of money. You're basically breaching the agreement of, hey, you said you'd stay away. You wouldn't be part of this anymore, and yet here we are. So, to me, this is the bigger news, probably the biggest news outside of Stephanie resigning, because it does tie into it, and bigger than the false, as we find out, WWE to Saudi Arabia, being sold to WWE, or being sold to Saudi Arabia news. That this is the biggest one. Outside of, like I said, Stephanie Resigning because it ties into it, and outside of the now false WWE being sold to Saudi Arabia. This is the biggest. This is the biggest. And I guarantee you that if we had any worries about Vince being in creative, if we had any worries about Vince trying to take over booking again, or him having the power that he once had once again, now that he's back as executive chairman, I don't think we have to worry that much. I don't think we have to worry that much, because if this happens, and it looks like it's on the road quickly to happening, I think Vince is going to end up having to step down again, and Stephanie's going to probably get that call again of, hey, Steph, this is your dad. I'm going to have to step down again as chairman, and I'm going to need you to step back in as chairwoman. Bye. That's what's going to happen. Oh, he's going to have to go to Paul Levesque. He's going to have to go to Paul Levesque and go like, Paul, I never thought I'd say this. You're the new chairman. Bye. That could happen. We don't know. But yeah, I think this lawsuit that's being brought upon him is more the reason why Stephanie stepped down, resigned, and all that for the time being, full resignation and everything for the time being. This is why I think she did it more so than anything. Not just because she wanted to continue where she originally left off by stepping away last year, but mainly because she knows that she would be implemented in allowing Vince to step back onto the board, and it being a breach of the agreement, the trustee agreement, basically. But yeah, I think that outside of her resigning, which ties into it, is bigger news than even the false WWE being sold to Saudi Arabia's PFI group news was, in my opinion. As a matter of fact, when you look at it, easy for me to say. Let me rewind. Okay. Basically, like I said, I think the reason this got lost in the other two news that broke later is because it was the first news broke throughout the day, and it was broke not by Sean Ross Sapp, but by NoDQ.com and Dave Shire of PWInsider.com. So I think that's why it got lost in the shuffle. But now that things are clearing up a little bit more, we're getting more accurate information, I think it's going to rise to the surface, and we're going to start seeing basically more people, coming out and talking about it. And I try to open my blinds here, my kitchen blinds. Easier said than done when the weather affects them. But like I said, I think now that things are starting to clear more up and everything, this is going to rise to the surface a lot quicker, and people are going to talk about it more. I mean, they did touch upon it yesterday when they were talking about the whole Saudi Arabia deal. I think they're going to talk about it even more now as this day and this week goes on. I truly do. But yeah, thank God the Saudi Arabia deal was not true. It was just misinformation or someone trying to troll people. And I think out of this, we're going to find out that one of the legit, real reasons Stephanie stepped away more had to do with not just wanting to resume with her wanting to step away last year and be a mom and all that, but I think it's going to have more to do with this lawsuit that's coming up more than everything, because she would be directly involved with it, and named in it had she stayed, for allowing Vince to come back. But what are you guys' thoughts? How do you feel about the news of Saudi Arabia buying WWE being false? And do you think Stephanie's resignation did have something to do with, basically this lawsuit coming in as well as basically just wanting to continue where she left off last year before everything hit the fan? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere, and I will talk to you all later.